Kicks 105.5. Good morning. I'm JJ. It's Wednesday, January 26th at 7:48 and currently -3 outside. But as we do on every Wednesday, we have Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency with us. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, JJ. How are you?
I am well this week, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, recovered well from your booster shot, I see?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Nice to hear.
It feels nice, too.
Yeah, it can knock you on your tuchus if you're not careful. So,
Oh, yeah, it can. So, what are we talking about with insurance today?
I recycle a lot of things, and that's because, if I've talked about something before, I used to feel really bad if I brought something back to this conversation that I know I've already talked about, but many, many things that we talk about deserve repeating. So this morning I thought I would talk about claims, all right? An insurance claim. Really, why do you have insurance? You have insurance so that if you have an accident or if a loss occurs, that you can be covered by your insurance company. So let's talk about an auto insurance claim. One of the things that I often find is that when people call a claim in, they don't necessarily have enough information. Bear in mind that when you're calling a claim in, and I think this probably is something I haven't done, is really given an insight as to how the process works. No matter who you call, whatever company you're with, if you're calling a company directly or if you're calling your insurance agent, you are literally front-loading information. And information that will be put into a loss report that will be assigned to a claims adjuster. So the more information we have, the quicker it's going to be, because you really don't, it's going to never be a fun process. No matter how good a claim experience goes, it's still a pain in the tuchus. So get as much information as you can. So auto insurance, let's say you get into an accident on the road with another vehicle. Adrenaline starts to go. I've been there. You start getting adrenalized and maybe you're not thinking about everything. So if you have this in the back of your mind, maybe you'll remember. But if you're in an accident with another party, key things to always make sure you have: know where the accident was. What road were you on? Know about the time of day that it occurred. Who did you hit? Or who hit you? Because no matter how it works out, you want to make sure you're exchanging information. The best way to do that is to get an insurance identification card. That's going to have a lot of the information on there if it's current, including the name and the driver's, hopefully the driver's name. If not, get the driver's name, maybe their mailing address, but you're going to want their phone number. Now, remember, when a claim happens, it's a he said, she said scenario many times. So no matter how it processes out, when there's another party involved, there will be a phone call to that other person to get their side of the story, to understand the details of the claim. Give us information of whether the vehicle was towed or not. Give us information of to where the vehicle may have been towed. If police came to the scene. Now remember, if you get an accident on the road, you really should be calling the police. Even a single vehicle accident could warrant calling a police response just to make sure you have a proper procedure there. But if you're in an accident in a parking lot, unless there's bodily injury or significant damage to a vehicle, police probably will not come. So, make sure you're getting as much information as you can. Now, the police report many times is going to be used in the process, and that's great too. So that's one of the reasons we want to know if you had police respond to the scene. Homeowner claim, give us as much information on that as well. You want to give us the time it happened, your best explanation of the loss, whether it was burst plumbing, frozen plumbing, furnace backup, fire in the kitchen, grease fire, whatever the case may be. Give us as much information as possible. Give us as much information on the damage that has occurred. And remember that we are merely front-loading it. Now, what happens when we front-load it and get this report? Again, we're sending it off to a claims adjuster. That claims adjuster could be somebody who works for the insurance company that you have your insurance with, which is more common. But there's many scenarios where it's going to go to a third party, whether it's an independent adjuster that is hired to do claims assessment for companies. But whoever gets it, they're going to need to have that information so they are so ready to go, because the more information they have, the quicker it's going to be. Otherwise, you're slowing the process down because the adjuster is getting not a complete story, and it may take longer to adjust the claim. So just a couple things I thought I'd throw at you this morning about hopefully making a claims experience easier and at least being more prepared through the process. But I get it. Adrenaline hits in. I hit a deer with my son when he was maybe a year old, and just that alone, sent me over the roof. Like, oh my goodness, But, try to keep your wits about you. Try to stay calm, cool, collective. Take a moment if you need to, but get as much information as you can.
So here's something I was thinking of while you were talking.
You had plenty of time to think, because I just went. Sorry.
Whew, that's all right. Means less time I got to talk. So, say I'm in an accident and it's my fault, and
Yeah.
it's damage to two cars,
Uh-huh.
or maybe just my car.
Uh-huh.
Say I was driving along and I dropped a cigarette or something and veered off the road and hit something.
Sure.
Is even though it's my fault, is my insurance still gonna cover that,
Yeah.
or are you on your own?
So when it's you and it's your fault, and your insurance will be the first response in Vermont and New Hampshire. In Vermont and New Hampshire, we are at fault states, meaning if there's a party that's determined to be at fault, it will be their insurance that'll be paying for things. So that's why we're always talking so strongly about liability, making sure you have proper liability limits. Because if it is your fault and you've caused bodily injury or property damage, be prepared. Your insurance will be paying that party to help them indemnify themselves from the loss. Don't ever admit fault, though, when you're, be calm, cool, collective, and nice, but don't always admit fault. That's a tip that a lot of insurance companies give, because there can be times where fault is really a shared responsibility. And people out there who've gone through it go, yeah, I know all about that, and it's not convenient. But that's where a shared fault, you're going to see partial payment from both policies. So it can be a little muddy if you're not careful.
Yeah, I had a minor fender bender quite a few years ago. I was pulling on my driveway, going along, and this car was coming the other way and just turned right in front of me with no signal. And I clipped the rear end of her,
Sure.
of her vehicle.
Yep.
And I got out and I went over and I said, "What are you doing? I mean, how come you're not using your signal? Your turn signal wasn't on." She reached up and turned her turn signal on.
Oh, God.
So I'm like,
Yeah. Not an option in vehicles these days. It's a standard equipment, so make sure to use it.
I mean, what do you do in a case like that?
It's tough. It's tough because, again, when an accident happens, all kinds of emotion starts rushing through your body. So everyone's going to deal with it differently, whether they're like me and truly apologetic, no matter what. If it's not even my fault, I'm like, I'll probably go, I'm so sorry. It's just my personality. But then there's somebody else out there who might just really just get ugly and get mad. Either side of that coin can really be adding some issues to the story. So try to just be calm, cool, collective. If you're at an accident in a road and it's safe to get out of the way, get out of the way. Do what you need to do. But just the best thing is a lot of the insurance card IDs that you have for your vehicles have some tips on the back on how to go if you have a claim or get into an accident. So
That's good to know.
yeah,
That's good. Anything else we want to talk
that's
about?
all we got.
All right, Mike, thanks for coming in. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach you?
Sure, you can give us a call, 748-5224, and if you have an emergency, you can actually reach us 24 hours a day on that line. Just follow the prompts. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, and look for Google, Facebook, and YouTube, where we have our Facebook presence, our Google presence, and YouTube presence, and these conversations are on all of those media. So check it out.
I should check it out. I got to see what I sound like.
Well, there you go.
Hey, superstar.
There you go.
Okay, Mike, thanks, man. We'll see you again
Have a
next
great
week.
day.